I think that certainly today, I think there's a lot of folks in business that are sitting on cash. This has gotten a tremendous amount of attention. $3 trillion sitting on corporate balance sheets. Why is that? I think one of the reasons is regulation. One of the reasons is if you're the CEO of a company and you know that in the future the costs of employing people is going to go up because healthcare legislation, you know that you've heard that your taxes are likely to go up. You know that the cost of capital is likely to increase for lots of reasons. Basel III is one of them. FinReg potentially has that impact as well. The fact that there's a wall of debt coming due also. For all those reasons, you're certainly thinking, I want to put some cash aside. Otherwise, look, I think that different rules, different regulations have an impact on different industries. Certainly FinReg, a lot of the regulations are still being thought about and have not yet been implemented. That'll be key for the next several years. But that clearly will have an impact on operations that used to be, for example, at banks that'll now become independent or go into other institutions. And clearly healthcare will have an impact. There was an interesting article in the New York Times yesterday about the mergers that are occurring in the healthcare space, in part because the healthcare reform was designed to encourage more collaboration within the healthcare industry, and part of that collaboration is occurring through mergers. So I definitely think that the recent legislative changes will produce significant regulatory impacts, which will then produce a business impact. Certainly, I think that today, if your goal is maximum employment, the possibility that there will be a significant tax increase, and the fact that the cost of capital could increase, and the fact that that employing workers could be more expensive because of healthcare reform, all those things are likely to make a number of companies less likely to hire workers. On the other hand, others might argue that there are societal benefits from all three. That's a fine argument to make. It's just important to understand the realities from both perspectives. I think that the reality is, because of the legislation that's already been passed, there's likely to be a fair bit of regulation implementing that legislation. And that'll happen going forward. You know, one of the things that often you see in government is when you can't legislate, you regulate. And so I think that you might see in other areas too increased regulation. What I hope, though, and I think you're seeing some of it, and you saw it in the last election, is that policy leaders will stop and think about the fact that they really do want jobs created in this country, which I believe they do. And they'll think about what is the impact of uncertainty, what is the impact of changing rules on people's willingness to invest versus leaving cash sitting on their corporate balance sheets. And that's something that I hope then could hopefully make that regulation, some of which we know is coming, more flexible and more reasonable and less likely to have a negative impact on the economy.